Mr. Valdez, many people face stress. They don't commit crimes. You made choices, deliberate, repeated choices that endangered others. 6 months probation. 200 hours community service. Full restitution. Permanent restraining order. No contact ever. He mumbled, "Yes, Your Honor," and was let out. He didn't look back. A week later, Loretta called. "The divorce is final," she said softly. "I'm not happy, but I'm free." That same day, I made a call of my own from my locked office. Oscar's new employer, Apex Marketing. "Ms. Chen," I said, "I'm not asking for information. I'm providing it. One of your employees, Oscar Valdez, was recently convicted of breaking and entering and multiple restraining order violations. He has extensive gambling debt. If he has access to financial systems, you should know." She hesitated. "Can you provide documentation?" "Public record," I said, and gave her the case numbers. 3 days later, Marcus called. "Oscar's been terminated. Company ethics violation." "Good," I said simply. Then I walked to the living room where Beatrice was reading. "It's done." She looked up, understood, and nodded. No celebration, just quiet recognition. A week later, we met our estate attorney. We rewrote everything. A trust for Rachel and Tom, locked until they turned 25. Loretta would receive $50,000. "Not much for your daughter," the attorney noted. "Enough to show forgiveness is possible," I said. "Not enough to reward betrayal." By June, the papers were signed, notarized, sealed in the attorney's vault. Marcus's final update came that month. Oscar's back in California, living with his mother. Retail job, barely surviving. I listened, then checked off the mental list. Criminal record. Divorced. Unemployed. Foreclosed. Broke. Every box ticked. Every wound earned. Justice, cold and clean, had finally run its course. The man who tried to steal from us, the one who left Beatrice bruised and abandoned in the desert, had been systematically dismantled. And I felt no guilt, only the cold satisfaction that comes when justice finally finds its mark. That evening, I sat on the back porch watching Rachel and Tom chase each other across the yard. Beatrice joined me, easing into the chair beside mine. "It's really over," she said softly. "Yes." "Do you think Oscar will try anything else?" I shook my head. "No, he has nothing left to fight with." She was quiet for a moment, then said, "What you did, coordinating all of this, some people might call it revenge. Some people would be right. And you're okay with that?" I thought about it. About 40 years of prosecuting criminals, building airtight cases, believing in consequences. About finding my wife at that gas station, abandoned and terrified. About watching Oscar manipulate our daughter into betrayal. "I stopped a criminal using legal means," I said finally. "I'd do it again." Beatrice reached across the small table and took my hand. Her grip was strong, steady. The tremor that had haunted her for weeks was gone. "Good," she said quietly, "because he deserved everything he got." We sat together as the sun sank behind the rooftops, our grandchildren laughing somewhere in the distance. For the first time in months, the weight I'd been carrying began to lift. Justice wasn't just served, it was complete. Summer arrived with a gentleness that felt earned. Rachel and Tom adapted quickly, their rooms filling with artwork, homework, and the chaos only children can bring. Beatrice enrolled them in summer programs at the community center. I taught Tom to ride a bike in our driveway, running beside him until he found his balance and pedaled away, laughing. Beatrice began therapy twice a week with a kind woman named Dr. Patricia Lynn, a trauma specialist. At first, she resisted. "I'm fine," she'd said. "I don't need to talk to anyone," but I insisted. The bruises, the abandonment, the betrayal, they'd left marks deeper than skin. 3 weeks later, she came home from a session and told me, "Patricia asked what I want from the future. I realized I've been so focused on surviving I forgot to think about living." "And what do you want?" I asked. "To be a grandmother, to feel safe in my own life again, and maybe one day to forgive Loretta when she's earned it. Not today, but someday." Loretta called every evening to speak to the children. Short conversations, small, gentle things. "How was school? Did you brush your teeth? I love you." Then one day she sent her first repayment, $500, nearly half her paycheck from the paralegal job she'd just started. On the second Saturday of June, she called again. "Can I visit?" "Just for an hour." "I want to see them." And you both, I looked at Beatrice. She nodded slowly. Saturday afternoon. 2 o'clock. 1 hour. Loretta arrived exactly on time, carrying a bag of art supplies for the kids. She'd lost weight, looked tired, but there was steadiness in her eyes. She hugged Rachel and Tom gently, like she was afraid they might shatter. Mom? Tom asked. When are we coming home? Loretta's face faltered for a second, then she smiled. Grandma and Grandpa's house is your home right now, honey. But we'll have special visits, like today. After the kids ran outside to play, she turned to us. I'm taking night classes, business administration. I want to support myself properly, give them stability. I know I can't undo what I did, but I'm trying to become someone who deserves them back. I didn't soften. Words are easy. Actions take time, she nodded. I know. I'm prepared to take that time. Those Saturday visits became routine. Every week, same time, Loretta would arrive with small gifts or activities for the kids. She never pushed boundaries, never asked for more, just showed up, proving through consistency that she could be trusted. Oscar, on the other hand, exercised his court-ordered supervised visitation only once that June. According to the report, he'd sat stiffly across from Rachel and Tom for 30 minutes, asked hollow questions, then left early claiming he had work. He never scheduled another visit. August brought our 41st wedding anniversary. I hadn't planned anything special. The months had already been exhausting enough. But Beatrice wanted to celebrate. We survived, she said simply. That deserves recognition. We invited Loretta for dinner. She arrived early to help cook, moving through the kitchen with a familiarity that broke something open in my chest. For a moment, it almost felt like the years of distance had never happened. Dinner was quiet but warm. Rachel proudly showed us her report card, A's and B's. Tom demonstrated how he could finally snap his fingers. We laughed. Ade lasagna, garlic bread, and the lemon cake Loretta had baked herself. After dinner, when the kids were in the living room, Beatrice and I stepped out onto the porch. The sun was setting, gold and pink spreading across the sky. 41 years, Beatrice said. Through everything, I replied. She looked at me. Do you think Loretta will be okay? Really okay? I thought about it. About a daughter who'd made terrible choices, paid terrible prices, and was slowly rebuilding her life. I think she has a chance, I said. If she keeps showing up and keeps doing the work. And us? She asked softly. Are we okay? I looked at her. The woman I'd driven 300 miles to save in the middle of the night. The woman who'd endured investigation, courtrooms, and betrayal, yet still found the courage to heal. We're more than okay, I said. From inside the house, Loretta called, Dinner's ready. I smiled. She meant dessert. Old habits die hard. Rachel and Tom raced past us, laughing at something only they understood. Beatrice tugged my hand. Come on. Let's eat with our family. I rose, pausing for a moment at the porch rail. 41 years in this house, 40 years as a prosecutor, a lifetime devoted to justice. And now, looking through the open doorway at my family, the laughter, the light, the quiet peace, I realized this was what justice truly looked like. Not courtrooms, not verdicts, but safety, healing, continuity. Ivory, Beatrice called again. I turned, saw her backlit by the kitchen light, and followed her inside. Through the window, the porch swing moved gently in the breeze, empty now, but waiting. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges. But tonight was simple. Dinner with family, laughter around a table, ordinary moments that once felt lost forever. Beatrice brought out the cake. 41 candles, actually 4 in 1. We sang, off-key but joyful. When I closed my eyes to make a wish, it wasn't for revenge or justice. Those were already complete. I wished for healing, for my grandchildren's futures, for my wife's peace. I blew out the candles, and everyone cheered. And for the first time since that midnight call from a gas station 8 months ago, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long, long time, contentment. The revenge was over. The healing had begun, and sometimes that balance was exactly what justice required. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching. He'd been quietly destroying his own family for years. When I read the forensic audit report, the numbers told a story more brutal than any confession could. I photographed the key pages, saved encrypted digital copies, and locked the printed report in my safe. Then I called Marcus. I need to know the legal boundaries, I told him. Sharing financial information with a family member. Whose information? He asked. Oscar's. With Loretta. Marcus went silent for a moment. That's complicated. But if the data was legally obtained and you're sharing it with someone who has a legitimate interest, say a spouse whose finances are being ruined, that's defensible. Just document everything and make sure it's factual, not opinion. I'm not blackmailing anyone, I said quietly. I'm giving someone the truth. In that case, Marcus replied, I can't advise against it. Just tread carefully, Ivory. There are ethical lines. I always do. The next week I studied Loretta's routine. Not surveillance, just awareness. Tuesdays, she grocery shopped alone at the Rayleighs on Carson Street. Oscar left for his construction site before 7. That detail mattered. The following Tuesday at 9:30 a.m., I was already inside the store when she arrived. I saw her in the produce section, weighing apples, lost in thought. She hadn't seen me yet. I measured the distance. 101 yards just beyond the restraining orders limit, legal, safe. Then I moved closer. 90 yards, 80. She looked up and froze. Don't worry, I said, stopping at 75 yards. I'm not violating the order. But we need to talk. Her face hardened instantly. We have nothing to say. The judge was clear. The judge said no contact, I reminded her. She didn't say we can't speak if we happen to be in the same public space. I held up a thick folder. This is about your finances. You deserve to know. I know our financial situation, she said coldly. I met her gaze. Do you know about the $90,000 Oscar owes to online casinos? Or the second mortgage he took out on your home? With only his signature? The credit cards opened in your name? The color drained from her face. I set the folder on a nearby display of oranges, within reach but untouched. No contact. No coercion. I'm not asking you to do anything, I said softly. You're still my daughter. Rachel and Tom are still my grandchildren. This information is yours. What you do with it is up to you. I walked away before she could respond. Didn't look back. That evening, I told Beatrice I'd seen Loretta at the store. It was technically true, strategically vague. She asked if Loretta had mentioned reconciliation. No, I said. Also true. Hours later, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Loretta using a friend's phone. We need to meet tomorrow, Kamak Coffee. I showed it to Beatrice. She wants to meet, she said, hope lighting her face. Don't get ahead of yourself, I warned. She might just want to yell at me. But deep down, I knew better. She'd be coming for answers. The next afternoon, I arrived at Kamak Coffee 5 minutes early. Loretta was already there, seated in the far corner. The folder lay open on the table. Worn, reread, believed. I ordered black coffee and sat across from her. Silent. Waiting. Is this real? She asked finally, her voice hollow. All of it? Every document verified, I said. Bank statements, loan records, credit reports, all legal. You can call the creditors yourself. The mortgage, my signature isn't on it. That's fraud. Yes. She pressed her hands against her face. How long have you known? I hired the auditor after you filed for conservatorship, I said. The report came last week, her eyes glistened. Why tell me this after everything? Because you're still my daughter, I said quietly. Oscar is the problem, not you. But you need to see that clearly. I don't know what to do. Start with the truth, I said. Then protect your children. The rest will follow. She stood abruptly, clutching the folder. I need time. Take all the time you need. Through the window, I watched her sit in her car, phone in hand. Her body went rigid, angry. She was calling Oscar. Phase 1, separate them emotionally, was complete. 12 days later, the call came. March 22nd, just after 8 a.m. Her voice trembled. Dad, it's me. I need to talk to you. I'm listening. You were right about everything. The debts, the forgery, the gambling. I checked it all. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I stayed silent, letting her fill the space with tears. You didn't know about the debts, I said finally. But you knew you left your mother at a gas station. You knew about the bruises. You knew what you did, a long silence. Then sobbing. He said Mom was manipulating us, that she destroyed the papers on purpose to make us look bad. I believed him because it was easier than believing we were the villains. She took a shaky breath. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want to protect my kids, I let her cry. Then I spoke calm and deliberate. If you want a path toward reconciliation, and I'm not promising anything, you'll take concrete action. What do you mean? First, file for divorce immediately. Second, temporary custody of Rachel and Tom comes to us until you stabilize. Third, return the $15,000 you took. Dad, I can't. Child Services is investigating. If you don't act now, they'll make the decision for you. Silence. Then, how long do I have? 2 weeks. All 3 steps, she hesitated. The money will take time. A payment plan's fine. But the divorce papers, 2 weeks, non-negotiable. Another pause. Okay, one more thing. When you file, I said, request an investigation into the notary who witnessed the forged mortgage. Either complicit or compromised, it's evidence, she agreed quietly. We hung up, and I sat there for a long time, staring at her childhood photo on my desk. The girl who once beamed over a perfect math test was gone. But maybe in time something better could rise from the wreckage. 2 weeks and a day later, Marcus called. It's done. Divorce filed. She cited irreconcilable differences, requested full custody with supervised visitation for Oscar, and flagged the forged documents. How did Oscar react? I asked. The server said he went pale, then left work without a word. Didn't even take his lunch. That evening, Beatrice was upstairs preparing the guest room for the grandchildren, humming softly. For a brief moment, it almost felt like peace. Then my phone buzzed. You did this. You destroyed my family. This isn't over. I saved the message, forwarded it to Marcus for restraining order documentation, then deleted the number. The next phase was already unfolding, and this time Oscar would destroy himself. 6 days later, headlights swept across our bedroom window near midnight. I was already awake. Instinct. The pounding on the front door shook the frame. Ivory, I know you're in there. You can't hide from this. Beatrice appeared on the stairs, frightened. Call the police, I said quietly. Restraining order violation. Outside, Oscar kept shouting. You turned her against me. You poisoned her mind. I didn't open the door. Just waited. Police arrived within 7 minutes. 2 officers approached, calm and steady. They arrested him right on the porch. Marcus called the next morning. He spent 48 hours in jail. Bail set at $5,000. He'll violate again, I said. Probably. They always do. He did. 6 days later, he broke into the notary's office downtown, Carmen Rodriguez, 15 years of clean record-keeping. He smashed a window at 3 a.m., triggered the silent alarm, and lasted less than 5 minutes before police arrived. Fingerprints, security footage, evidence everywhere. All for nothing. Her records were digital, off-site, and protected. Marcus called the next morning. Your son-in-law is making this easy. Breaking and entering, property damage, restraining order violation, he's finished. Will he make bail again? Doubtful. Judge Martinez doesn't have patience for repeat offenders. By the end of the month, Oscar's life had caved in. Job terminated. House foreclosed. Car repossessed. Credit destroyed. Loretta moved out with the kids, working as a paralegal, paying restitution. Then Carmen Rodriguez called me personally. Her voice was shaky, angry. I want to testify, she said. He tried to ruin my business. I want him held accountable. I passed her details to Marcus. Another nail. Oscar pled guilty within the week. 6 months probation. 200 hours of community service, restitution, no jail time if he behaved. He wouldn't. Days later, Loretta called again. The children want to say goodbye before moving in with you and Mom. Can you supervise? I hesitated. Where? The park. Sunday at noon, the day was bright and cold. Beatrice and I arrived early. Loretta sat with Rachel and Tom near the playground, both kids unusually quiet. Oscar showed up late, rumpled, unshaven, hollow-eyed. He froze when he saw me beside his ex-wife. You brought him? Dad's here to supervise, Loretta said. Those are the terms. For a moment, he looked ready to walk away. Then his daughter called, Daddy, and he melted, collapsing to his knees to hug her. I watched in silence. Watched him lie to his children's faces. After 15 minutes, Loretta stood. Time's up, please, he begged. Just a little longer. We agreed, she said. He turned to me then, hatred and defeat warring in his eyes. This is all you. You orchestrated everything. I held his gaze. You left my wife in the desert. Everything after that was consequence. He had no answer. Just walked away. A man crushed by the gravity of his own choices. Oscar's sentencing was May 7th. I didn't have to be there. I went anyway. Same courtroom I'd worked in for decades. Same judge. He stood before her in county scrubs, broken, beaten. His attorney begged leniency. Extreme stress. No prior record. Judge Martinez cut him off. They left my wife at a gas station, so I made them suffer 10 times more. It was 2:37 a.m. when the phone started vibrating on my nightstand. At first I thought it was a dream, the kind that crawls out of the dark just to leave you with a bad feeling. But when I fumbled for the phone and saw unknown number Nevada, something inside me tightened. Hello? My voice came out rough, half asleep. Sir, are you Mr. Russell? The voice was young, nervous. Your wife. She's here at our gas station. She says her name's Beatrice Russell. My heartbeat stuttered. Beatrice? That couldn't be right. She was supposed to be safe with our daughter Loretta and her husband Oscar on a family trip to Death Valley. She's hurt, the boy said softly, cold, exhausted. She has bruises, sir. She wouldn't let us call anyone at first, but she finally gave me your number. I sat up too fast, the room spinning. Where exactly is she? Desert Stop, out by Beatty. I was already on my feet before the call ended. The drive felt endless. 300 miles of black highway stretched in front of me, and every mile peeled another layer off my sanity. 41 years of marriage teaches you things. How your partner breathes when she's calm, how her voice tightens when she's afraid. And right now I could almost feel Beatrice's fear echoing inside me. Headlights carved tunnels through the desert dark. The speedometer crept past 85, then 90. I didn't care. All I could think of was the dinner 3 days ago. The way Oscar had poured her wine, the way Loretta had said, Mom needs this trip. And the folder Oscar had shown me, trip insurance papers he'd called them. I hadn't looked too closely then. Now I wished I had. When the gas station finally appeared, its fluorescent lights cutting through the dark like an accusation, I slammed on the brakes and pulled into the lot. And there she was. Beatrice sat on a metal bench wrapped in a thin blanket, her hair tangled, her face pale and bruised. But it was her eyes that broke me, filled not with relief but shame. I walked toward her slowly, every step heavier than the last. She looked up, and I saw a lifetime of trust cracked open in that one glance. I thought they'd come back, she whispered. Maybe they just forgot. I swallowed hard. Don't talk now. Let's get you warm and safe first. The young man from the call came out, a kid, barely 19. Mr. Russell? I'm David. I gave her water and snacks. She wouldn't let me call anyone at first. She just kept watching the road. How long has she been here? I asked, since yesterday morning. 36 hours. I pressed cash into his hand before he could refuse. You probably saved her life. Thank you. He nodded, unsure what to say. As I helped Beatrice into the car, the prosecutor in me, the part that had spent decades piecing together crimes, was already awake. This wasn't an accident. Someone had planned this. Someone had hurt her. 10 minutes later, we pulled into a faded roadside motel called the Desert Rose, pink paint peeling, a flickering vacancy sign, one of those places that existed purely for people who'd lost their way. I paid cash for the room. No questions asked. Inside, the air smelled of old carpet and cleaner. Hot shower, I told her softly. Then rest. You're safe now. She stood in the middle of the room, swaying slightly. Then her face crumpled. I'm sorry, she said. You had to drive all this way. I should have seen it coming. I shook my head. None of this is your fault. Through the thin door, I could hear her crying in the shower. When she came out, I'd ordered food from a nearby diner. She ate in silence, hands trembling around the fork. Every bruise told its own story. Grip marks on her arms, a shadow across her cheekbone. Evidence, my mind whispered. But for now, she just needed peace. Then she began to talk. It was the second day, she said quietly. We were at the park. Oscar was charming, telling jokes, making me laugh. I thought maybe I'd been wrong about him. Then at breakfast, he pulled out papers. Said it was travel insurance, but it wasn't. It was power of attorney. Property management. Things I didn't understand. I leaned forward, listening. What did it say exactly? In the event of mental or physical incapacity, she whispered. Everything would transfer to them. The house, the accounts, everything. My hands clenched around the chair. Fraud, elder abuse, attempted coercion. I'd prosecuted cases like this before. Never thought I'd be living one. When I refused to sign, they changed, she said. Cold. Angry. 2 hours later, we stopped at a gas station. They said they needed snacks. And when I came out, they were gone. Her voice cracked. I waited all day. All night. I thought it was a mistake. But it wasn't, was it? No, I said quietly. It wasn't. Get dressed, I told her. We're going home. No more calls. No warnings. From now on, I handle this. While she changed, I opened my notebook. Old habits die hard. Dates, times, details, every word she'd said. The pattern was forming. Cold. Deliberate. Professional. As the first light of dawn bled across the Nevada desert, we started the drive home. 4 hours of silence. 4 hours of planning. By the time we reached the house, I'd already begun building the case. That afternoon, our family doctor, Dr. Helen Santos, arrived. I asked her to document everything, every bruise, every mark, every injury. Her notes were clinical, precise. Measurements, photographs, observations. Who grabbed you? Helen asked gently. Beatrice hesitated. My daughter's husband. I watched Helen's pen freeze mid-air, then continue. She didn't need to say anything. We both knew what this was now, and we both knew what was coming next. When the doctor left, I turned my office into a war room, spreading papers, photographs, and statements across my desk. Bank records. Copies of the fraudulent forms. Transfers to their account, small, regular, just under $2,000 each. Enough to stay unnoticed, but not to me. Not to a prosecutor, $15,000. 6 months of theft, and this time the evidence wasn't for court. It was for me.